decided to branch out on our own and start our own company. You know, two black guys, we're going to save the world, we're going to teach black folks, we're going to teach, you know, low-income folks, we're going to be a wonderful, great social movement. Which in theory was a good thing. So, you know, getting into test prep, teaching SAT, ACT, people have to go to school, right? So this is an industry that should be around for a while. So we have been what some people might consider successful. I have a six-figure salary, if you count the decimals. We've done business in 8 different cities in the U.S. Virgin Islands, you know, around the country, 3,000 plus students for the year, so one would consider that successful by some metrics. You would say that it's a successful small business been in operation for 10 years. That's not bad, right? We've done a whole bunch of stuff with various schools, nonprofits, National Black MBA, Alpha, a whole bunch of different organizations. So, why am I here talking about mistakes? Because I'm fairly sure that I've messed this up. Right? I'm fairly sure that I've done everything an entrepreneur can do wrong. So I just kind of picked 7 to talk about. So I don't know that these are the biggest, I don't know that they're most important, they're just 7 I happen to think about. So first and foremost, I'm pretty sure that I did this too early. Alright? So one of the biggest mistakes was going into this without having fully thought it out. Alright? What it means to be an entrepreneur. Right? What it means to, you know, what do you need before you start a business? Right? I just decided I'm going to hang a shingle and become a business. Right? Which isn't particularly smart. Right? So before you think about getting into entrepreneurship, right, think this through. Planning, having a business plan, getting grants, right? I never wrote a business plan. My father still calls it my hobby. He says, until you write it down, it's just a hobby. And 8 years in, I actually figured out he was right. Okay, so just try to, you know, try not to make my mistakes. The other thing I found, and this is actually supported by research, right? I found that as a community, we actually don't generally go after money in the same way, right? I started my business with sweat equity, right? Held up in my room, used my own time and energy and resources, my own money, and wrote some stuff, created some stuff, did my own business research, right? Didn't go to look for a loan. Never even thought about taking a loan, right? Think about how many really successful entrepreneurs that you know about, and then dig into the money behind them, right? I actually haven't done this yet, but I wonder what Zuckerberg's, right? What his investment was. Did his father give him $25,000 to start with? His friend did, right? So there's a whole management of the financing of a small business, right, that we have to take advantage of and that we generally don't, right? And so make sure that if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, you find out all the financial options there are to you. You may choose not to take a loan. It's actually pretty cool that I can shut down my business tomorrow and walk away without having to worry about anything except the people who get fired, but Amy will forgive me. But I can actually walk away, right? That's actually a pretty nice thing, right? But where would I have been if I started with 50 grand instead of $500? Right? So make sure you're cultivating the money that's out there, the banking, the financing, the grants, all of those sort of things, right? And there's a lot of resources there. And then don't love yourself too much. Right? I know it sounds strange, right? But you have to understand your skill set, right? Let's take, for example, our friends, Michael Jordan. He thought he could play baseball because he was good at basketball. He was wrong. He was horribly wrong. He thinks he's an executive. I offer you the Charlotte Bobcats. The perennial worst team in the league. Right? So make sure you don't get so obsessed with loving who you are, how smart, how great you are, that you overlook where your skills actually lie. Right? Kurt Rambis played on 3, maybe 4 championship NBA teams. Right? He was actually a really successful WNBA coach. Right? Terrible NBA coach. Like a 19% winning thing before they fired him. Right? Another person, not quite sure what his skill set is. Right? Not quite sure what his limitations are. Magic and Bird did a better job. Magic realized, yeah, I'm not going to do the coaching thing. Right? So he went into business. Apparently he's been okay and mildly successful. Bird has done the same thing with coaching and executives, right? As an MBA executive, he's done fairly well, right? So two guys who actually know their skill set pretty well, right? Versus two guys who don't. And so make sure you understand that you don't get, in love with yourself as, I'm going to save the world, I'm passionate, I'm smart, this and that, and you think really about your skill set and what that means to you, right? Another big mistake I've made is winging it. I just do things on the fly. I'm not planning, I'm not writing it down, I'm going to figure it out as we go, right? Which in theory might work out, and I've actually managed to survive for 10 years, surprisingly. But I'm always firefighting, right? I'm always putting out the next fire. I'm always working on the next thing, right? And if you plan ahead, if you don't go into it expecting to wing it, right? Or don't go in thinking that winging it actually makes you good, right? So for years, I actually thought it was a good thing that I could solve the problem that came up tomorrow when it came up. It's actually not, right? If I was actually doing this right, the problem wouldn't come up tomorrow, right? I would have already thought about it, I would have fixed it, I would have planned for it. So make sure you don't oversell and overbelieve in your ability to manage those fires, right? What you really want to do is make sure they don't come up. Getting caught up again in seeing the trees, not the forest. Right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. We can say it however we want to 100 different ways, right? Planning and playing the long game is really important, right? Not only thinking about how your business is going to look in 15, 20 years, but also thinking about what your exit strategy looks like. Right? Are you going into this with a reasonable thought for, maybe I won't do this forever? What does my retirement plan look like? Somebody said something about a 40 something something. I've never heard of that thing. Had a K, now I don't know what that is. Right? My wife apparently thinks I should have a 401k. Yeah, I set up a business and never thought about that. Right? So thinking through the long game and planning all those things out. Right? Right? Friends and family, horrible thing for a business. All right? Horrible thing for a business. Do you want to go into business with the baggage from your childhood? Yeah, just ruminate on that for just a second. So friends and family tend to be a pretty bad thing for business. So make sure you think that through. Right? Also in context of, in my 20s, I could grind. Right? Right now, I actually just sent my wife a text. Yeah, I actually can't make it home. We're running later than I thought we would. I actually didn't really look at the agenda. Well, in my 20s, that's a non-issue. Right now, with 2 kids, they're a little bit more problematic, and I might have some making up to do. I think I'll give them the Beyonce tickets tonight. So, friends and family, right? Thinking about how that will impact you as a business person. All right? You can't do all things for all people. Right? You can't take every job. Right? So make sure you're thinking about, considering, is this smart for my business to take this job? It might be nice to get the $4,000 contract, right? But does it actually make as much sense as it seems in the long run? So again, the whole issue of planning and thinking ahead and strategizing, all of those sort of things, become really important kind of success, right? And one of the mistakes that I've made, I'm thinking right away, is I try to do everything. Oh, another test? Well, that test is kind of like that test, so we can do that test too. Now I've committed to creating new materials, to training new teachers, to having a new resource to support. All right? And then if I don't want to only do it once, now I got to make it last over the course of years, and I haven't actually planned to do that. Now I'm back again firefighting. Right? So think about kind of how all of these things play out over the long term. So sometimes, right, over the course of being an entrepreneur, right, you have to realize that you just can't say yes. Right? As much as you want to, as much as it seems nice, as much as it seems helpful, right? Over my career, I've had lots of people with the sob story, I need this, I need that, and you want to say yes. Right? We need to listen to Nancy Reagan. Nancy said it right. Right? And not just with relation to drugs, right? But in business as well. Sometimes you just have to say no. Right? So these are the lessons that I think over the past 10 years have really resonated with me and helped me understand, while maybe entrepreneurship wasn't quite the right move at the time. Right? Now, I feel really good because I actually happened to survive. Right? It's 10 years, we're not going under, I don't owe anybody money. Right? But who knows where I would have been if I actually had a business plan to try to execute against. Right? If I'd actually taken, I don't believe in that whole self-help stuff. My wife hates it when I say the Oprah BS. Right? I don't believe in all that self-help. Yeah, maybe I should have picked up a book. Somebody probably made these mistakes before me. So when you're as entrepreneurs, we tend to be independent-minded, right? And think we can do these things, and we understand it, we know better. That's why I'm going to strike out and do it on my own. Well, maybe not. Take advantage of those who struck out on their own and had things to say. You may not have to follow all of them, but the better you understand what's happened before, the easier it is to sort of avoid these mistakes. That's it. That's